friends, and country people. I am glad that you all are here for this webinar on the Louisville climate and energy resolution. And our mayoral candidates, many of them are here to tell us how they are going to help us meet the goals that the resolution lays out. In the meantime, we are going to listen to a song by John Gage while we're waiting for people to get on the webinar, because there is nobody better than John to show us how we are the environment, we are the earth, and we are interconnected with everything on the earth. And for us to thrive, the earth needs to thrive. I'm going to let you listen to John while we wait for the rest of the folks to get on the webinar. Welcome, and I'll be back in a minute after John. Good evening again. I appreciate everyone's effort to be with us this evening as we consider together what the future of Louisville's energy is and how we're going to meet the goals of the resolution that was passed in 2020 by our Metro Council. We have four mayoral candidates here tonight. I believe if you're here and I haven't seen you, you let me know. But we are joined by four candidates. I am Elisa Owen, and I am going to call you in to this place together and send you out to serve at the end. I am the senior energy organizer for the Kentucky chapter of the Sierra Club here, and I am a resident of Louisville, and I pay LG&E KU energy bills like the rest of you. So I am very interested to hear what we learned this evening from our candidates and from others who are on. You're welcome to put any questions you have in the chat. We might get to those at the end. But for the moment, I want to hand it over to Margaret Stewart, who is a member of REAL. She's going to tell us a little bit about the resolution in case you're not familiar with it, so that we can know what we're talking about and why these goals are important to all of us. Thanks again for being here, and I look forward to learning with you. Margaret?
Thank you, Elisa, and welcome to each one of you. So glad to have you with us. A little background about this resolution that's the focus of our forum for this evening. Just a little background. After a sustained effort by the part of members of REAL, that's the Renewable Energy Alliance of Louisville, in February of 2020, just barely over 6 years ago, I started to say months. Anyway, just barely over 6 years ago, the Metro Council approved a resolution for 100% clean renewable energy for the city of Louisville by 2040. The resolution sets forth 3 basic goals, the essence of it, the heart of it. First goal, 100% clean renewable electricity for city operations by 2030. Second goal, 100% clean renewable energy for city operations by 2035. And this, not more than just the electricity, this would include the transportation for the city. Third goal, 100% clean renewable energy community-wide by 2045. This final goal includes governmental, residential, and commercial entities, all of the above. The goals of this resolution may seem ambitious, but they are realistically attainable. In fact, we already have all the technology we need to reach these goals, and that technology is improving rapidly. Moreover, the cost of implementation is not prohibitive. In fact, we will recognize savings if we can achieve these goals, but certain obstacles have to be overcome. Those of us who were working on the passage of the resolution went out to celebrate that night back in 2020. But we knew then that the real work was just beginning. The resolution, unfortunately, is not self-fulfilling. It's a piece of paper listing goals. But that particular piece of paper, nevertheless, represents commitment, a commitment to take action. And the city has taken some steps. For example, the Office of Sustainability staff, now headed by Jacob Medley, is working hard to promote renewable energy. An energy manager, Zachary Tyler, saved the city well over $700,000 in his very first year on the job in 2021, and is still saving by finding energy efficiency savings and realizing them. A Solarized Louisville program was instigated 3 years ago and has facilitated solar installation on a number of residential rooftops at reduced costs. I see Joni waving her hand. She has one of those. Um, but as good as these things are, we still need to do much more on a much grander scale in order to meet the resolution's goals in a timely manner. We only have 6 years left to fulfill the first goal. That's not a whole lot. And only 14 years remain to fulfill the final goal of 100% clean renewable energy citywide by 2040. So we're grateful to each of you candidates who has shown up tonight and made time in your schedule to join the discussion with us to let us know how, if they are elected, these candidates will lead the way as mayor to achieve the goals, to meet the goals of this important renewable energy resolution so that we can all enjoy cleaner air, a healthier planet, and savings for the city on its energy costs. But before we get to our questions and answers, one more thing. Samuel Avery, or Sam, is a retired solar installer and a founding member of REAL, and he has a few comments, more than one, I'm sure, to share with us this evening. So Sam, your turn.
Thank you, Margaret. And if Paul can keep from muting me every 5 minutes, I'll have something to say here. 4 years ago, Real held its first mayoral forum. 7 candidates showed up, including winners of both the Republican and Democratic primaries. The Earth's atmosphere at that time, 4 years ago, held 49% more CO2, carbon dioxide, than before the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas. 49%. Now, carbon dioxide is not like local air pollution. It doesn't dissipate out of the air. It becomes part of the atmosphere. It becomes part of the whole planetary system, and it changes how the atmosphere behaves. It heats up the air, as I'm sure you know. It dries out arid regions of the earth, and it also dumps a lot more rain in other areas. You may have noticed this if you were ever driving through a downpour. Your windshield wipers don't work the way they used to. Storms, wildfires, floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes are more violent now than they were before. Now, in the last 4 years, since the mayoral forum then, the percentage of additional CO2 has gone from 49 to 52%. And in 3 of those last 4 years, we've experienced the hottest weather ever worldwide. Last year, Kentucky experienced the wettest spring on record, and CO2 is on course to increase by another 3 or 4% before the next mayoral forum in 2030. One of the 7 candidates who showed up in 2022 is now mayor. He mentioned in his presentation that he would not only support Louisville's resolution for 100% renewable energy, he would work to accelerate the transition. He was a proud supporter of solar and wind. These are sources for electricity that don't use any fuel at all. And he affirmed that the climate change was the #1 priority for young people. Now, to his credit, he has overseen the funding of rooftop solar and on some city buildings and increased the budget for the Office of Sustainability, as Margaret mentioned. But we do not yet have the utility scale electricity we need for the 2030 goal. And he has chosen not to be with us this evening. Now, we are considering other leadership, but we will work with anybody in office. The next 4 years will be critical. If you are the next mayor, I'm speaking to the candidates here, the 2030 goal will come at the end of your first term. Solar is now the cheapest and fastest growing source of utility scale electricity. A group in Louisville is meeting regularly, consisting of members of REAL, Metro Council, the Office of Sustainability, and the Energy Manager's Office, considering a plan for utility scale solar with battery backup that will meet and exceed the 2030 goal at no capital cost to the city. it sounds like a pretty good idea. This plan has been offered before by LG&E, but the retail price was so inflated that none of the participants accepted the contract. Now, we don't know exactly why because these contracts were negotiated under non-disclosure agreements, so nobody knew what was happening in them. Nobody knew what the prices offered were. We hope to do this now a different way after forming a coalition of major customers who, along with the city, will negotiate a better contract with prices similar to what we're already paying now. This will require leadership from you, the new mayor. It will not require your expertise, though. You don't have to know everything about renewable energy to do this. The current mayor has already appointed experts who can do the job. All you have to do is commit to the goal. There will be many other priorities begging for your attention, but a contract for 100% renewable solar for city operations could be your legacy as mayor and a feather in your cap for a second term. Now, the Earth is just a speck floating through space, but it's also the only living planet in the known universe. And it's in our hands now. It has been given over into our care. The living world depends upon human beings understanding and knowing what is the truth and caring enough to do what needs to be done. And now I turn the program over to our moderator and my friend, Tom Fitzgerald, former executive director and now of counsel for the Kentucky Resources Council. It is safe to say that Tom has been and still is Kentucky's foremost environmental lawyer. We're very glad to have him here tonight.
Well,
Tom?
thank you, Sam. And thank you all for being here. Candidates, thank you for being here. Paul Westland is much more disciplined than I am, although that's a pretty low bar. And he will let you know when we are at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because what we're doing is we're going to allocate 33 minutes for each answer in order to make sure that we get through the questions. We may have a little bit of extra time. So, folks, if you have questions that you would like to be answered, because this is a rare and important opportunity to talk about issues that are important to the average citizen and are not being crafted by strategists or somebody. So if you want to drop some questions into the chat, Paul will pick out some questions and hopefully we'll have a chance to get to those as well. Candidates, let me take the prerogative of being moderator to tell you how much I appreciate you all being here. I was years ago at a gathering at Shakertown that had former Governor Ned Breathitt and W.T. Young, who was a very, very influential, very wealthy entrepreneur and businessman in Lexington. His name is on the library there at the University of Kentucky. And he had, he made a lot of money, gave away a lot of money. Ned Breathitt talked about, we were talking to young rising students who were college students. And Ned talked about the two things that were most important to him as governor. And one of them was that he passed the first strip mining act to try to address the ravages of strip mining in Kentucky. Of course, it was honored in the breach. It wasn't enforced the way it should have been. But the second was that he was the only Southern governor who was willing to sign on to the Civil Rights Act. And he gave LBJ the cover that he needed to go to Congress and try to pass the law. W.T. Young, for his part, when he was asked if there was anything he regretted, the one thing that this man who never needed for anything, he was a wealthy man, had a lot of money, gave away a lot of money, he said he regretted that he never stood for office, which was his way of saying that he never made himself a candidate for office. There are a few things more noble than doing that. It is not easy. And I appreciate each one of you so much, not only for doing that and putting yourselves out there and providing with opportunities to look at folks who are willing to invest their time, their history, their promise towards this community. But we also appreciate the fact that you're here this evening, and because this group, real is for real. And with that, let me ask you the first question, if you would. We're going to go in alphabetical order and then in reverse alphabetical order. So, Shamika, you're going to be last and first in the same evening. But let me go ahead and start with Matt Bailey and ask you. I'm going to ask the same question of all four of you. Please introduce yourself to the group and tell us your stance towards the Louisville's adopted resolution for 100% renewable energy.
Well, hi, I'm Matthew Solomon Bailey. I'm 21, and I love my city, and I want to do what's best for it. I want a world that I can bring kids into, that I'm not scared for their future, and clean energy is one of those things that it's a big part of me. Like, I want the future to be brighter. I don't want to go back to, like, you know, sorry, I'm not used to doing meetings like this. I usually do them in person. A bit strange for me.
That's quite all right.
I'm not I don't know much about just energy in general, but I do support and I will support the whole 100% resolution by 2030 and stuff, because I believe in it. It's something that strikes dear to my heart, because I want a better Louisville. So that's about all I got to say on that.
Great. Matt, thank you very much. We'll turn now to Lisa Holliday.
No problem, sir.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Lisa Holliday Harris, and I am a Portland proud resident. I will say that, a veteran spouse, professional businesswoman, truck driver, and a relentless fighter for families. And I definitely believe, as a contributor, so to speak, of what this atmosphere is like, just based on the career path that I have and the business that I own. My husband and I, we work diligently to provide patterns and break cycles when it comes to the environment. As you know, as truck drivers, we travel many miles across this nation, and we see solar farms, we see solar energy and windmills and things like that. We've even delivered windmill equipment and been on farms and as far as Texas. So this resolution, I do believe I'm here because the resolution is not just a wish. I also believe that the contract will be a legacy that we can leave to this Commonwealth to ensure that we are changing this atmospheric uh, environment that we live in. Believing that I have a parent that suffers with cancer, I have family members that have transitioned due to cancer causing agents and things like that. So I am definitely committed to a solution and also a legacy of leaving that to our next generation of children that will be able to breathe better air. I do have, you know, problems and issues when I see so much litter in our streets and things like that that also contribute to our environment. So I'm definitely committed, and I do propose to stand with this group in its goal to achieve this in
Great.
2030. And thank you for having me. Thank you,
Oh,
Sam, and thank you, Mr. Pitts.
thank you. Okay, we'll turn now to Jody Hurt.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You sure can.
Okay. Hello. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. Hello to some friends that I haven't seen in quite a long time. If it gets really loud where I am, I'm sitting on the corner of St. Catherine and 6th Street, about to go sing. We're leading up to Easter services, and I'm a musician, so we're busy. Thank you for the invitation. Thanks for having this. And it's pretty frustrating that the mayor is not here. But I think we're all pretty aware of that he is acting as if the election is already over, or that there is no election at all. So I think any interest that anybody has in making progress on anything right now, um, putting ourselves out there is definitely going to be really effective. For the resolution, I felt at the time, and I continue to feel, that any resolution that is 5 times the length of an individual's term in office is a way to kick the can down the road and hope that something gets better by the time that you're out. I'm curious what a resolution would look like if we said today, what do we want to happen in the first year of the next mayor's term, and what do you want to happen by the 3rd year of the mayor's term? What components of it would be different? What would be the same? I am totally on board with meeting or matching the components of the resolution that was passed. But I'm also curious if there's further that we can go. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you all, and I look forward to the rest of the conversation.
Jody, thank you very much. Shamika?
Good
You're on.
evening, good evening, everyone. My name is Shamika Parrish Wright. I always introduce myself as a mother of 6 and grandmother of 4 before all my accolades. That's important to me, and it's always been important to me when it comes to sustainability. My family literally lived off the land, and we also, living in the West End, were impacted by a lot of environmental issues. Thus far, I'm on my 3rd pacemaker. My son and my 3 children born in Louisville in the West End all have respiratory issues due to the environment. And my 3 born in Ohio had none of the same issues. So I also have seen it on a personal level. But being a councilwoman, an executive director of Vocal Kentucky, and a candidate for mayor, I believe we must lead with both values and action. So I think it was a very bold move in February 2020 to pass 100% clean energy by 2040 with clear goals for 2030 and 2035 that were laid out here. I think it was proactive leadership, and it's still the right vision today. This issue matters across Jefferson County. It matters when I go to the South End, the East End, everywhere I'm hearing people talk about what is our plan. People are concerned about flooding, extreme heat, rising costs, and what kind of future we are building. And so clean energy is not just environmental, it's about affordability, public health, and quality of life. And as mayor, I will make sure we stop treating this like a side issue and start treating it like the future of our city. So my stance is 100% renewable energy. I fully support this clean energy resolution, and I will do the right thing by refunding the Office of Sustainability and replacing more than $1 million that was taken and building up the staff to make sure that the leadership is impacted in the right way. And then after COVID, we lost some momentum. So I think it's the job of the next mayor to bring that momentum back. And that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, second question. The data centers in Louisville and elsewhere use significant amounts of electricity in order to perform the different functions. And because of that, there's possibilities that they will set back the goals that communities have in terms of achieving lessening their dependence on fossil fuels. We've seen situations around the country where coal-fired power plants have been extended in their life in order to support data centers. There's discussions about using nuclear energy on the other side of the meter to support them. What would your approach be as mayor to make sure that data centers do not hinder the achievement of the clean energy goals for 2030, 2035, and 2040? And we'll reverse the order. Shamika, we'll start with you.
Oh, I get to go again. All
Yes.
right. Okay, so for me, we've already seen a data center move forward without the kind of public permission and protections that we expect. It was snuck in on us, and that was done intentionally, and this cannot keep happening. As mayor, I will put guardrails in place so that any large energy user supports our clean energy goals first, does not increase cost for residents, and is fully transparent and accountable. So we are not against growth. And I think when I talk like that, people think that we don't want growth, but that growth should not come at the cost of Louisvillians. So to make sure that we're doing right by the people, we need to make sure that we have those guardrails in place before anyone comes in. I was ready to sign and to support the moratorium that Councilman Winkler put forth, but then it just ended up being a stopgap and not really what we needed while that first one passed through. I think that we need to make sure that whatever we're doing, anybody coming in to build businesses in the developments we already have are honoring what we have said should be our path forward. And I think that we can get ahead of that. And the first thing I'll do, even while I'm still a councilwoman, is work and see what the Planning and Zoning Committee has, because those questions and the answers were delayed. And you all need to have that put forth so we can make those decisions together.
Tom, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry about that. We'll go to Jody next.
Sure, thanks. The data centers are incredibly frustrating. What would we do differently? What would I do differently? And how should we go about this going forward? The first step is that we need to stop the one that's being built currently. The city needs to be using everything within its power to delay, to obstruct the building of the facility, to make it so onerous that they get wrapped up in legal fees or just decide that it's more profitable to build somewhere else. Because as was mentioned, this is coming in under the radar. And they know that they're behind the eight ball. They know they're on the wrong side of this politically, so they're trying to sneak it through. So we should have no hesitation to use the same tactics as a city to stop what they're doing, and to delay it and make it not worth their time. On the other side of that, we need to we need to address where democracy is in the city and how we're actually getting to be represented in the different areas. My campaign is built around the notion that we should be leading the city as a place to live rather than a destination, but also that we need to reverse the merger and the problems that happened because of the merger, largely through the decrease in democratic oversight of decisions like this in the Planning Commission. So we should not have some very abstract group that can pretend like they just are washing their hands of something, or that there's yellow tape or red tape that we're tying their hands from a decision. We have no ability to hold them accountable. So whatever decisions that we might want to do with building out better infrastructure to keep prices low, or to keep to offset the energy usage, or whether it be nuclear or renewables, there's nothing that we can really do under the current system. We need to
30 seconds.
We need to reverse the merger in order to open up the possibilities and open up our options.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, Lisa, it's down to you.
Well, thank you. And as you know, may have heard, my mayoral campaign is Lisa wants to fix it. Louisville needs a fix, and I want to fix it with each and every one of you on this call tonight. And what I'm understanding is the last commission meeting that I heard, it was an approval that went through of plans. However, they had already broke ground at campground underground road. And I agree with Jody Hurd. At the same time, we have protests. Why aren't we protesting that? I am really upset about data centers coming into our city and being dumped in the West End in the areas where there are undeserving, citizens and residents that are lacking certain need, certain things that they need in the city, but yet they're being dumped in here. And then understanding what a data center is based on all the data that we use up, whether it be AI, whether it's our phone usage and things like that. So I believe all of that snuck in while we're having certain kind of arguments and holding on to what's old instead of pushing forward to what's new. So with that, my stance and my approach would be a fair share mandate. We would implement a net zero interconnection ordinance. If a data center wants to be plugged into our grid, it must provide its own lunch. It must provide its own food. So they will be required to fund their own behind the meter BTM generation, like hydrogen fuel cells or utilization of iron and air batteries for storage. So these are some of the things that will take the tax revenue for our schools, but we will not take a rate hike to pay for their servers. So I would not want it to increase our energy at all. I would definitely want us to execute something like this so that we can move forward and then also understand why data centers, education, understanding why data centers are being erected around the United States of America because of all the data and the phones and the electronics that we use. It'd be a hurtful thing to have to reset back to that, to scaling back, because what's happening, this will become another LG&E. We will be paying a new bill and it will be a data bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Matt Bailey.
Hi. First and foremost, I believe that data centers shouldn't be coming to Louisville, just in general. They use way too much electricity, and not only that, they use way too much local water to cool down the systems and stuff, and that creates a whole lot of wastewater, which is just water with like minerals and a whole bunch of stuff that's detrimental to the environment that needs to be disposed of carefully. And I was not aware of the specific data center that you guys were talking about that got moved in. I'm just starting to research upon this stuff, but I myself would support anything regarding making them use less energy or having it where they provide energy themselves to try to help it not be a net loss for the power grid in general. Because if they keep coming in and they keep using up a whole bunch of energy, like you guys said, it's just going to push back the decision that you guys made about trying to become energy, like 100% renewable energy by 2030. And if we don't put some sort of stop or just requirements, something to keep them from building them and taking from us, they're just going to keep erecting them. We need to have roadblocks in place and measures to make sure that they are beneficial to Louisville and not detrimental. That's about all I got to say on the topic of that. I think you're muted, I believe.
I'm sorry, I actually clicked that and you're dealing with a very technologically limited person here. Let me, next question is, and this goes back to something that Jody mentioned, which is that when you have goals that are 10 years out, 15 years out, 20 years out, they're wonderful, but unless you are taking concrete actions during that time period, you get to that goal and you realize that nothing's been done, right? And I am notorious for that, being a confirmed person in terms of waiting to the last minute to get anything done. Let me ask you to describe two actions, let's say the first two main steps that you would take as mayor to implement the clean energy resolution and advance the community towards meeting its goals. And we'll start this time. We'll start, Matt. We're going to put you on the spot again, and
All
start
right.
with you.
Well, first of all, incentives to help people switch over to solar electricity, and incentives to try to get more companies to come into Louisville that work with stuff related to that, so we can try to get more green, but also using talking with companies that are already here and incentivizing them as well, trying to get them to switch over to cleaner energy and stuff, like companies like LG&E and a whole bunch of things. I've been downtown here and there, and I've seen some solar panels, but I haven't seen many. At my house, personally, we don't have any, but we're thinking of getting some. I'm committed to it. I want the best for Louisville. If you're near, hold up. Sorry. There's that. That's what I got to say related to that.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And we'll go to Lisa.
Thank you. I can only describe based on research that I've done. The two main steps that I would take as mayor to implement this clean energy resolution. I was just thinking about it, using and utilizing what we have here in the city, which is to execute the zero capital solar, which is a power purchase agreement. We would join in with JCPS or U of L to negotiate a bulk rate that LG&E cannot inflate, possibly. A developer would build it, we pay the monthly bill, and the city takes on zero capital debt. Not sure if that would be something that we could do, honestly, but it's something that, brainstorming, talking to my campaign manager and these issues that come up with the Commonwealth, that's one. And then mandate on liquid to chip cooling. We would update our building codes for high load industrial sites. Liquid cooling reduces energy waste by 40% and eliminates the loud industrial fans that plague our neighbors. And we will fix the energy waste before it even hits the grid. So those are some of the thoughts that I had toward that. That would be the two that I would implement or consider doing so as mayor of Louisville. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. And
You're
now
welcome.
we'll turn to Jody.
Thank you. Sorry, Matthew, for interrupting you there, but there was a sunset that I thought people could achieve. Two things that we would do to repeat the question, please. Repeat two things that.
Absolutely. What are the two main steps that you would undertake in your first term to advance the goals of the energy resolution?
First, I appreciate the optimism towards first term, so my campaign is a structural campaign in nature. So we have a monopoly in LG&E, and I don't believe that you can work with monopolies in any meaningful way, because there's no negotiation that they can do, that they would do, that is meaningful for the people who live here. So the first step that I would do is that I would remove that monopoly, whether that means decentralizing or deregulating or using eminent domain purchase power to take control of LG&E. Any of those steps would be on the table. But first, we have to reverse the merger. We have to stop being the only first-class city in Kentucky, which gives Frankfurt a prima facie ability to pass laws that hurt us or that affect only us, but they never have to say our name, right? Without taking the step of undoing this self goal, this own goal of the merger. Nothing that we propose, whether it be undoing the monopoly, deregulating, or purchasing LG&E to bring down costs, none of these things would be on the table. So reverse the merger and end the monopoly.
All right. Thank you, Jody. Shamika?
Thank you. So two main things. I kind of mentioned one in my first answer, but I want to state that when I say I will restore the funding cut from the Office of Sustainability, that is a real thing. That is something that a mayor can do immediately in the budget and add more if needed, because we cannot meet those serious demands if we don't do that. And so second, I will require renewable energy build out in all new city projects wherever possible. Understanding that, like the new police headquarters or the new police training center in the South End, I also want to expand that access to residents. So people who have Habitat for Humanity homes should also get solar kits that the city provides. And my family has solar, and it's been amazing. And we see a real difference. And as soon as we were able to get that up and running, so we should make that accessible to a lot of people. All I hear are complaints about the bills and ways that we can reduce those bills. Now, my husband says I have champagne taste with a beer budget. And so I understand that we have to pay for those things, but if we make them a priority, we have the money to do so. So I'm not against development. I'm not against businesses. I want to attract businesses. And if we improve the quality of life, we can attract businesses, tech centers, all kinds of headquarters, because they'll be focused on the quality of life and the livability option for Louisvillians, not just a TIF or certain small incentives and handouts. I think that there is a way that we can do this together, where it's affordability, it's livable, and it's sustainable, because everyone will be participating.
All right. Thank you very much. So we have time, I believe, to go to the fourth question, which focuses in on our local electric and gas utility. LG&E, as you all know, is a regulated electric and gas utility that has, in fact, a geographic monopoly on the provision of, we'll focus more on electric service here, in the Jefferson County area. It is regulated by the Public Service Commission. And because LG&E's actions play a very large role, a crucial role in determining whether we will meet the clean energy goals, what would you as mayor do to assure that LG&E is a help and not a hindrance, is a constructive partner in helping to achieve those goals, and do so in a way, echoing what Shamika just said, that lifts up all LG&E customers, especially those who are the most energy insecure? And I'll start, Shamika, with you.
Oh, okay, back to me. Okay, LG&E, it's been said many times, and even in the chat and the comments, that it is a monopoly. So the city cannot afford to be passive when it comes to LG&E. As mayor, I will push for accountability, transparency, and real partnership to meet our clean energy goals. So Louisville has already made its commitment. So now we need a leadership that ensures progress actually happens. And so what makes me different from our current mayor is that the difference is the follow through. The commitment was made in 2020. Now we need to make sure that we're fully funding it, we're prioritizing it, and we will deliver real results, not incremental steps. I'm worried. I mean, we're already in 2026. I would love to see major development between now and 2030. And so this to me is about smart economics as much as it is about the environment. And it is important that we focus on what we can do right now. And that's why you see a lot of us talking about solar and renewables, because they're the fastest growing and most cost effective energy sources. But there's people who've been talking about, light rail, making cities walkable, heat islands, many years. Many of you have talked about that. And LG&E has consistently stood in the way. So I think as mayor, I have to make sure that I'm speaking up for what matters to Louisvillians and achieving our goals. And they should be on board with that.
All right, thank you. I'm mixing it up this time, so we're going to go to Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, I would, as Councilwoman Shamika Pash Wright is tapped into, I would definitely stop being the passive customer with LG&E. I would appoint a permanent chief intervener at the Public Service Commission at PSC to challenge every rate hike. That's what I believe has to happen, because my husband and I, it's just him and our rates are astronomical, and then also piggybacking off of the fact that we have these new data centers coming in. I believe they're doing that just to use that as an excuse for the rate hikes. So we would challenge every rate hike. I would also use our franchise agreement renewal as leverage, because LG&E cannot use our city streets and right of ways unless they agree to a clean transition tariff that allows our residents to access the cheap solar power we are already generating. So I think that would be something that I could look at. And I'm just so appreciative to be a part of this conversation, because it allows me to dig and do more research. And as I stated, being a transportation liaison, so to speak, we are always talking about this conversation, bridging between fuels and diesel and things like that, and moving into solar energy. So thank you. And I hope that was a thought-provoking answer that I could provide.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Matt next.
All right. Well, regarding LG&E and stuff, like Jody said, it is a monopoly. Having some other players maybe coming into the field who are willing to deal with us and not hinder the goal of being renewable energy 100%. Having more contenders to just kind of give us more options would be good. But also just like sorry. Question's a bit hard to answer. Basically, LG&E needs to deal with us and actually cooperate and understand where the city's trying to go, where the future's headed, what we want for the city, and they need to be on board. Otherwise, we need to get other people or make drastic change. Like, if they don't want to deal with us, we got to do something. Don't know what exactly, but there are many options. That's about all I can say.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Jody, you're going to get something that being married to a former family court judge who was a family court judge for 20 years, I have never had, which is the last word on this question.
Oh, well, could you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. The question was, LG&E is a regulated electric and gas utility that supplies all of Louisville's electricity. Because of that, LG&E's actions are going to play an extremely crucial role in whether we will meet the resolution's clean energy goals. What would you do as mayor to assure that LG&E is a constructive partner and achieving those goals, and does so in a way that lifts up all LG&E customers, particularly those who are most energy insecure?
Sure. So I was working with a team in 2019 and early 2020 to do carbon capture and sequestration at the Cane Run plant through dual cycle natural gas plants. And the day after the horrible debate with Joe Biden, when it was clear that he was not going to be was not going to continue as president, we received word from LG&E and Duke Energies that nothing was going to be built. They were their statement was that if they go forward, if Kamala wins, they're going to pretend they're going to eat the fines, and if Trump wins, they don't care because they're not going to build anything anyway. So there is there's a systemic problem going on, right? We have something that's been going on, I believe, since, and there's a plane about to go overhead. Since, if you stop hearing me, that's why. Ever since Thatcher and Reagan brought neoliberalism to the populace with their idea of public-private partnerships, the assumption that there is such a thing as a public-private partnership that is anything other than a cash grab or a way to siphon money away from the people. We've been saddled with these for 40 years. That's what a monopoly is, and that's what LG&E is. We cannot go forward with an organization that will say things out of both sides of its mouth, that will pretend like they're going to develop things that are getting us towards not just carbon neutrality, but carbon negativity, which is where we need to be. They're not going to build it because they have a profit motive, and unless we remove that from the discussion, we are not going to get anywhere on this in any meaningful way. So. Since I had a bit of time, I was going to wax poetic on this. If anybody,
30 seconds.
Thank you. If anybody would like to see a little bit deeper discussion of this, there's a book by Ken Stanley Robinson called Ministry for the Future, where they discuss the time value of money, which is sort of what they're dealing with. Reverse the merger, and then you can deal with any of these. Thanks.
All right, thank you. We have covered the questions that were were going to be the substance of the evening. Because we had fewer candidates than we initially anticipated, we've got a little bit of time here. So, Paul, if you would take over moderating and pick a couple of really good questions out of the chat there, we'll get to those questions for the candidates.
Tom, I'm going to try and combine a couple and throw it to you, I think in your expertise, to kind of combine them. I saw a couple that I might put under the category of environmental justice. Some question along the lines of achieving the clean energy goals and at the same time making sure we keep up on a focus on just an equitable use of energy. The couple questions that brought that to mind is one, somebody asked about bringing more TARC lines and buses into the West End, and the other is making solar generally more available to low-income people. And I'll make that a question unless Tom, you can combine that or embellish that as a question.
Well, I think that is those are both fair questions, and I think we've got time to, if we want to, let's shrink it down to 2 minutes so we can get to both of them. But let's just go around and talk about public transportation generally and TARC specifically, and hear what the candidates' thoughts are regarding accessibility. Because when you've got the rate of in-migration into this community being what it is, our workforce is growing up now, is going to school now, and is here now to a great extent. How do we make sure that access to employment is equitable, that the tools are there to lift everyone up and not just to focus on the needs of a subcategory of our community. So public transit is not only assists in clean air goals, it assists in equity goals. And so let's just go around and we'll do this one alphabetically. What are your thoughts in light of in terms of land use, in terms of investments and budget? Let's just start with Shamika. We'll start with the
Okay.
W's and work our way backwards. So what are your thoughts on the role of public transit in assisting in meeting these goals, these energy and economic and equity goals?
Great. I want to say all the questions in the chat are very important and questions I've thought about with my team. And so if you ever want to learn more about how we're approaching this, I do have that on my website, shamikaforlouisville.com. But I believe in a multifaceted approach. That's how I approach social justice. That's how I approach every role that I take. And we need to make sure that we invest in public transit. I actually think we can't accomplish anything if we don't invest in public transit. More than 20 years ago, a big decision was made. Do we invest in our bridges, or do we invest in light rail? Actually, the Muhammad Ali Airport was built to receive light rail when it was done, but we chose bridges. And some of those bridges won't even be paid for until well into the 2050s, which is beyond our renewable energy goal. So to me, we need to fast track the things we can. I believe in regional transit hubs all over the county. A lot of my colleagues here on council are not invested in the public transit because they feel like it doesn't touch their communities. But we know that people ride the TARC from all over the place, but we need to make TARC a viable option. And I have not seen a city thrive without investing in public transit. So I would support a referendum that would increase. We're not even getting the full amount that we can get to increase that. Cities like Cincinnati have done it. Tennessee, we have sister cities who've done that. And so to me, the bus stop should have solar. You could charge your devices there. They should have cooling stations. We should reduce some of the heat islands and make it viable. They should be close to parks,
30
markets,
seconds.
all of those things. And so I think that is the way to do it. There's no way I would not support investing in public transit. And that also includes paratransit.
Great. Thank you, Shamika. Next, we'll go to Jody.
Question, please.
Question was your thoughts on the role of public transit and public transportation in terms of helping the community meet its energy and its equity and its environmental goals.
Currently, we have a tax on people that is a tax and a fee on just participating in public life, and that fee is having to have a car. We did not design our cities for the car. We redesigned them for the car, and we do not have to accept this as the way things have to be. We haven't had car-dependent suburbs anywhere in the world except from World War II, and this is mostly a North American problem. So how do we address it with transit? Well, first we remove the obstacles that make people not want to use transit to begin with. So we give signal priority to buses and trams. They shouldn't have a bus full of 60 people should never have to wait for one car. And a trip from Fern Creek to downtown should not take an hour and a half. It should take maybe 5-10 minutes. These are simple things that you can do from the mayor's office that just takes a bit of interest.
All right, thank you. Jody, do you have to run? Have you got a rehearsal you need to get to?
I do. They just came out and checked on me, actually.
Okay. Well, we are not going to hold that against you. You go ahead if you need to. We are going to be wrapping up here in about 20 minutes. Do you have a website where people can get more information about your candidacy?
Still in process of building that right now. You can find me on Facebook right now, Jody Hurt.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
You stay with us as long as you can. We appreciate you being here.
I've got to run inside. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. Okay, Lisa, it is down to you. If you need me to repeat the question, just let me know.
No, thank you, Tom. I pretty much have the gist of it. This is my lane pretty much. Transportation, what I realize, and this more than likely will be a quick answer, those that run it do not ride it. Okay. And I've learned that being a bus driver, truck driver, those that run these systems are so disconnected from the actual system. And then if we're upgrading I would say bus stalls and things like that with solar, we have to also understand we are challenged by a mindset. I'll use as an example, in Metro Council District 6 is where my office is located. There's no bus stall or no bus shelter on the corner of Oak and 4th Street. Why? Because of the mindset. You have people that are destroying these bus shelters. And if you were to add solar power and any type of electricity to these bus shelters in areas where the mindset has not changed, we have high levels of crime, drug abuse, and things like that, that would be totally a waste of a budget and money, because now we have to work on changing the mindset and shifting these lanes to do so. And that would be my take on accessibility and working with TARC management and the board and things like that to bridge that gap. As a driver, I used to run those express buses from places like St. Matthews and Middletown and things like that. People enjoyed those bus routes. However, they get out of town at 6 p.m. because they're afraid to be in the downtown area. So I just believe that all that would have to change in order for it to be equitable, and also that we do not spend or waste monies improving those systems if mindsets have not changed, meaning educating those that ride the bus. My whole thought process was scrap the whole system and start new, start fresh. Because you can no longer band-aid a broken system. When systems are broke, I realize if I have a bad pipe that burst, that pipe needs to be replaced.
20
So
seconds.
I'm definitely big on the fix and replacing and repealing certain infrastructures within our metro government. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And Matt, your thoughts on this?
Well, Louisville's not always had the best transit, and I've experienced that myself, and stuff. And I think that there needs to be big change with public transit, especially TARC, regarding funding and stuff, and regarding routes, but also with JCPS and stuff. Like, none of my siblings take the bus to school anymore. A lot of the routes have been closed down due to shortages and stuff, but that can also be funding in a not a lot of bus drivers and stuff. But I think that Louisville definitely needs to change, and we need to look into supporting people who are not, daily drivers of cars and stuff. We need to be more of a public transit like hub of a city. And we also need better connections with other cities, like getting some sort of Amtrak line back. I know it's kind of not part of the question, but that would be something that would be beneficial, not only to the growth of Louisville, but just altogether. But public transit is one of the key fundamental parts of your city being able to prosper and grow. And if you neglect it, then you're just going to be at a standstill or just keep going down.
30 seconds.
That's about all I have to say. There just needs to be some change. I'm going to look into more, but that's about it.
All right, thank you. Let me, before I kick this back to Paul for the next question, let me ask Matt, do you have a website? Shamika has given us hers. I'm going to ask her to give it to us one more time. We know Jody's in the process, but he can be found on Facebook. Matt, what about you?
I don't have a current website at the moment.
Okay.
I'm still in the progress of getting that done, but I do have a Facebook and Instagram and I think it's All My Links website that just shows where you can follow me and see my campaign and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
I,
Okay.
I can put it in the chat in a little
Yeah,
bit.
please do. Lisa, how about you?
Yes, I just added it to the chat. It's lisaforlouky.com.
Wonderful. And Shamika, would you also do that? Is go ahead and add yours to the chat. That'd be wonderful. In the
Yes, I'll
chat,
do that now.
wonderful. And in the chat, I think Paul or Sam or Margaret put the website for real. So it's in there for folks who want to get additional information about the resolution, about the steps that have been taken or not been taken to achieve that. Paul, did you have a additional question that jumped out at you from the chat?
Um, I'm going to throw out two, maybe just as a last question for the candidates to choose from. One is there were a couple references in the chats to solar and how we could make better use of that in to more low-income people, as well as conflicts, possible conflicts with farmland. And I'm going to take privilege of the floor here and toss out one of mine that I kind of wrote about that was in a Courier Journal piece, which is basically that the next mayor is going to have to be really forceful and bold and aggressive to go against the forces right now that are minimizing and even trying to reverse progress on the climate crisis, from the federal government to the state legislature. We've talked about LG&E, the data centers, the general ability to focus on something other than the daily headline. What would you do as mayor to push back against all that and make this clean energy resolution something that can actually happen?
Okay, we'll go ahead on that and we'll start this time with Matt and then we'll go alphabetically down the list. What would you do following up on Paul's question?
Well, first off, I don't care what a lot of people think about me. I will be bold. I want what's best for Louisville. All right. I am going to look into doing things that make everything better for everybody. And sorry, can you restate the question? Just a bit of it.
Yeah, basically, there are a lot of forces that are dissing or outright cutting funding for renewable energy, from the White House down to the state legislature, and we've talked about LG&E as well. What would you do to push back against all of that?
Well, fighting for Louisville. I'm not afraid of what the federal government thinks of Louisville and stuff. We need to show Kentucky and the rest of the government that we can't just be walked all over. All right. We need funding and we need to show them that we are in an economic center that can't just let us kind of die out. We need to stand up, whether that be a mayor who is bold, like you said, and
30
looking
seconds.
towards upsetting the norm and trying to figure out solutions. That's what I got to say.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, your thoughts?
Thank you. And I would say definitely I'm bold. I ask questions. I'm that why child. I want to know why. I want to know how. I want to know what. And so with solar energy, just from my perspective and only in my opinion, seeing it from the roadside where I say, as a truck driver, when I see solar farms and farmers who had to sell parcels of their land just to sustain their income, to install these solar farms and then see the setbacks after a while that it didn't work out. I just want to get to both sides. There's two sides to every story. There's two sides to every issue. And so to make it work, we need to hear both sides. Like there could be issues, say solar power being on top of one of these office buildings, but yet there's an issue where the fire department gets involved and it could be an issue of putting a fire out. So I would just want to get down to the root of it all, get to the root of the issues and see where we can not only compromise, but then also offer some pushback. If they're going to make commitments to follow through on this 100% renewable energy in 2030, I want them to hold fast to that commitment as we work these things out. I think a lot of things right now have gotten lost in emotion and in communication. If we could just sit at the table, get some of these things ironed out, because you're looking at uh taking away, just not even taking away, but we're wanting to move forward and having a healthier environment. And there's so many things that we still have to address. Like I believe we're dealing with the top dusty shelf, but we haven't dusted off the first three shelves on a bookshelf. We have so many issues that we have to really look at and see what that pattern and that cycle is so we can
30
break it.
seconds.
So hopefully that can answer that question. But that's my approach. I'm already bold in this race. I'm already stepping in to step up and to help and to assist and to make changes that'll be long lasting change and a fixed change within Louisville and the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Shamika.
Thank you. The one of the questions that I've always thought about is how can I carry forth your voices? You all have been bold in this whole process. When I look at your list of sponsors, when I look at the many faces on this Zoom, some I know, some I've seen over the years, I know that it is my honor to serve as mayor and to carry your bold vision. I think Louisville made a bold decision in 2020, and it will be my honor to carry that commitment in every way. I've had to be bold. I came in as an organizer, activist. All of my work with social justice and beyond has been about meeting people where they are, people first, whether it's cost, health, neighborhoods, accountability, whether it's police, whether it's housing, whether it's data centers and LG&E. I'm there when we had Brownville rallies and around people getting more and more disconnections, whether it's action, funding the right things, building it right. I think that we could do this if we make them build it on our terms and make sure that they're listening. So whether it's families or that can afford their bills or whether our neighborhoods stay healthy, all of that is important to me. And I don't see that as being bold. I see that as leaving this place better than I found it, for not just my grandkids, for your family, for your lives. Seniors should be able to age in place. Young people should be able to aspire to live, to thrive here. And that's not what people are seeing. So as mayor, I want to make sure your vision, that we turn that into a reality, because that's what I see it. I've been at sustainability tables a long time, but this vision is yours, and it will be my honor to carry it forward in every neighborhood in Jefferson County in every way that I can. Being bold by running for mayor again, running against another $1 million campaign, being number 11 on the ballot. I mean, everything in my life has spelled out bold, but I do it because I do it in love. And when you lead with love, you don't have to be worried, right? It will work out and we will do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamika. Paul, have you got another question? Because if you don't, I will take the prerogative of the moderator, the immoderate moderator, and I will ask a question.
I think go ahead. I think we've got time for one more.
All right. In the many years that I was lobbyist over in Frankfurt, there was an effort to undo a moratorium that we had put in place after we ended up with the Maxey Flats nuclear waste dump in eastern Kentucky. We had a moratorium on nuclear power plant construction until there was a strategy for the disposal of waste that will have to be managed for a millennia. That moratorium was removed, and we have in recent years seen a significant investment of time and effort on the part of the Kentucky legislature to incentivize the nuclear industry. And in a number of different ways, this session has several resolutions and several bills to provide direct subsidies for the licensing and the ability to recover those licensing costs long before there is a power plant actually constructed and demonstrated to be used and useful. So with all of this effort on the part of the state legislature to underwrite and to encourage nuclear, my question to you is, what is your position on the role of nuclear energy in, if any, in meeting the clean energy goals in the resolution? And I'll start with Matt.
Well, I'm all for nuclear energy and trying to get that off the ground, especially here in Kentucky. But there's a giant stigma around nuclear energy being bad just in our society. We have to first try to overcome that and try to not advertise, but like help the people understand that it's not as bad as it's been portrayed. It could be a big part of getting Louisville to be renewable in 2030, which is not that long from the current time. So I see it being a thing that could be a big part if we do it right and if we can try to get rid of that stigma. That's what I got to say on that.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, your thoughts. Does nuclear have a role to play in meeting the clean energy goals for this community?
I will say this, I have to yield to learning on this one because in education and communication, when it comes to nuclear energy, there's so many questions that surround that and so many fears and discomfort when you hear the word nuclear, because nuclear usually always ends with bomb, right? That's all we ever learned or knew about nuclear energy is to build bombs or build weapons of destruction and things like that. So for carbon-free electricity, it would be a help. It would be helpful. I will do more research. Like I said, I'll yield to learning on this question, and I thank you for asking it.
Okay, Shamika, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, nuclear, personally, it scares me. And Matthew, I thank you for sharing about the stigma. I know it's a lot of stigma around it. And like Lisa, this is an area that I'm always looking and talking to people on. A lot of my liberal friends are on either side. I've never had anybody really explain it to me in a way that I could choose. I am willing to sit at the table and listen and be a part of a meaningful conversation that's going to take it to the next level. But I worry about the communities that have already been redlined, that have distilleries and whiskey fungus, that have chemical plants. I've knocked on the door in Rubber Town, and I've seen the effects with my family and others who have all kinds of cancer and other things, issues. And those are not seen as nuclear things. So I worry, where would it go? Whose community would it be in? What neighborhood? What will it do to the land? What will it do to the water? And for me, I'm just as worried about them about nuclear as I am about data centers. I think there's more and more information coming out around data centers, and nuclear in some form has been around a long time. But when I think about it, I worry about the marginalized communities who might pay the cost of decisions around nuclear. So I'm willing to hear more, learn more, and Matthew, you're the first young person I've heard that spoke about it as eloquently as you did. I would like to learn more, but right now it scares me. But if as leader, I would have to do what's best for the greater good. So I would be ready to sit at the table and hear all sides. And I wouldn't make a decision about nuclear or anything else without the people. There's no way I would make a decision like that that can impact us for 30, 90 years ahead.
Okay, thank you. Paul, it is 8:25. Should we go ahead and wrap this up?
I think we should, and I'm going to take the privilege of thanking the candidates for giving very efficient answers that allowed about twice as many questions as we planned.
All righty, and let me, on behalf of all of the folks who sent in questions, and also on behalf of Real, let me thank each of you candidates. It has been a privilege and a pleasure to visit with you. We appreciate the respect that you've shown this issue and this group by being here. And as far as I'm concerned, you are all winners already. And we appreciate it. We appreciate you standing for office. And we appreciate you putting the information into the chat so that folks can follow up with each of you. We wish you all the best and appreciate your dedication and your service to the public.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you all. Have a good night.
Bye,
Thank you, guys.
Do we have something from John Gage to close us out?
We have something from John Gage to close us out. We also
I
want to
love John Gage. I met him.
Yeah.
We also want to say thank you to our sponsors, the Kentucky Resources Council, Louisville Climate Action Network, Interfaith Environmental Action Network, Kentucky Conservation Committee, Kentuckians for Energy Democracy, Sierra Club Kentucky Chapter, and Sierra Club Louisville groups. We hope that you have learned something at this forum and that you will remember that it's not just the people in power, government power, that have to make this resolution happen. It is all of us. And so learn what you can, get hooked up with these groups that are our sponsors, and we together can make this happen. May it be so. Have a wonderful night.
No, he's playing the wrong one.
Oops, who's in charge of that?
Paul. Yeah. This guy.
Don't mind if you play that one again.
Yeah, I'm willing to hear the same song again.
Over the past year, it's been a great honor and privilege to perform songs for this august gathering of heroes of mine, the defenders of our earth, people who are putting their lives on the line and their hopes on the line to make it a better place to be. So these songs all have meanings that are tied directly to renewable energy. And my hat is off to all the people who are doing so much work to make this a reality in Louisville, Kentucky. Solar power, wind power, hydropower, all those alternatives that will help us hopefully turn the tide on climate change. Thank you all. Give me the warm power of the sun, the steady flow of a waterfall, the spirit of living things as they return to clay. Give me the restless power of the wind, the comforting glow of a wood fire. Take all your fossil fuel poison power away. Everybody needs some power, I'm told, to shield them from the darkness and the cold. Some may seek a way to gain control when it's bought and sold. I know that lives are at stake, yours and mine and our descendants in time. So much to gain, so much to lose. Every one of us has to choose. Give me the warm power of the sun, the steady flow of a waterfall, the spirit of living things as they return to clay. Give me the restless power of the wind, the comforting glow of a wood fire. Take all your coal-fired power plants away. that lives are at stake, yours and mine and our descendants in time. So much to gain, so much to lose. Every one of us has to choose. Give me the warm power of the sun, the steady flow of a waterfall, the spirit of living things as they return to clay. Give me the restless power of the wind, the comforting glow of a wood fire. But take all your fossil fuel poison power away. Take all your fossil fuel poison power away.